we go on a Wednesday edition, Mr. Irrelevant. I am Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Full house today. Joshie DiMaggio is here. Will Sommers is here for his Will's Weekend Review, which is coming up in a bit. And, of course, Hunter Vaughn is always producing the show back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. We've got you covered all across I-94 in the state of Wisconsin. Ton to get into today. What a busy week it's been. And we're not even going to talk about the Ivy in Chicago after the Cubs beat the Brewers last night. A lot of Giannis stuff to get into, and, of course, a lot of Packers stuff, which we will get into in just a moment. Packers kind of stuff, mostly Packers stuff, but now not Packers stuff, is, of course, the big news that just came out about 10 minutes ago. And that is the fact. Breaking news from Adam Schefter. Jaire Alexander signed a one-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens. 1 year, $6 million deal for Jaire as he reunites with his college quarterback at Louisville, Lamar Jackson, in Baltimore. The Ravens continuing to stack up that roster as they look to make a Super Bowl run, and their defensive backfield certainly gets a bit of a bolster, if he's healthy, with Jaire Alexander. This is a really good move for Jaire. It's as simple as that. I mean, Jaire, and we've talked about this a ton as we went through the saga with the Packers. Will he or won't he be back in Green Bay? The moral of the story here is this is a guy with a ton to prove, right? 68 of the Packers' previous games, the previous 68 games, Jaire's only been available for 34 of them. That's 50%. When he's been on the field, he's been pretty solid, right? He's been good, if not very good, when he's been on the field. But the issue with him the past several seasons is, will he be on the field? And the Packers got to a point where they valued availability more than anything else with Jaire. And it got to the point where they needed to make a decision this offseason, and ultimately they decided to move on from him with no compensation in return. They did not trade him, they released him. And the Baltimore Ravens are the team a week after the fact that pick up the phone and say, hey, Jaire, we'd like you to come play in Baltimore. And obviously his former quarterback, Lamar Jackson, now his current teammate, Lamar Jackson, was advocating for him in the news. In different interviews he was taking, was telling Eric DeCosta, the GM of Baltimore, to go out and get Jaire, go get his former teammate, and ultimately that's what the Ravens do. But Jaire joins a stacked defensive backfield in Baltimore. He joins an immediate contender, a team that is going to be very heavily involved in Super Bowl conversations from now until the end of the season. I think if you're Jaire Alexander, you want to prove two things. You want to prove, number one, you're still a really damn good cornerback in the NFL. And you want to prove, number two, that you're good enough to be a champion in the NFL. And I think Baltimore allows for both of those boxes to be checked for Jaire in 2025. So all in all, I think this is a really good move for Jaire. Two interesting pieces before we get Josh's reaction to the Jaire news. When you look at the Ravens schedule, there was two things that jump out to me. Number one is the fact that Baltimore plays in Green Bay on December 28th. It's week 17. Second to final game of the regular season. Jaire will come back to Green Bay, assuming he's healthy and on the field, and play his former team, which, of course, that's exciting, right? Whenever you get a little bit of a redemption game or, I don't want to call it a rivalry game, but obviously Jaire and the Packers did not end in a perfect marriage. That ended in divorce. So for him to get the opportunity to play his former team is fun for him. I think it adds a little bit even more juice to that matchup, which, in my opinion, is already one of the sexiest on the Packers schedule this year. It just adds a little bit more juice to that game. The other part of the Baltimore Ravens schedule in 2025 is, of course, they play the division rival Pittsburgh Steelers twice. Quarterbacking the Steelers, Jaire's former teammate Aaron Rodgers. So some fun things to circle on the calendar when it comes to Jaire landing in Baltimore. I like it for Jaire. I like it for the Packers, considering he didn't wind up in the NFC North or the NFC at that. And Jaire's been one of my favorite players for a long time. I love his game. I like his attitude. I like his cockiness. I like his quirkiness. I would love to see him have a successful second act. So I'm a fan of this move for Jaire Alexander. Joshie DiMaggio, your thoughts on Jaire Alexander winding up in Baltimore?
I think stylistically, Baltimore is the best landing spot for him. They play the type of secondary coverage defense that he's looking to play and that he excels at. You could probably hide some of his lack of tackling ability behind some of those guys that they have there that will certainly be an assist to him. The other big takeaway seeing the contract with the $4 million guarantee and then the incentives up to $6 million is he would not have played under this number in Green Bay. To me, there is no chance. It is such a small contract. It's a smart contract for him to take and to kind of showcase and hopefully his ability to stay on the field. And from there, he will then sign a longer-term, bigger contract after his year with the Ravens. I think we are, and this isn't like me trolling, making a joke. It's a testament to how good the Ravens are. There's a chance he doesn't play that game against the Packers because Week 17, they might be close to or pretty sure what their playoff seedings are and what it will be. So, say they have whatever happens, they have a first-round bye locked in. Are you playing a guy who's missed 50% of games the past 4 years? Or are you putting him on the bench and saying, hey, man, have the week off or the next 2 weeks off, and we'll be ready to go for the playoffs because our goal here is a Super Bowl. So that'll be interesting to see as the season plays out and if Jaire will make the effort to be on the field, because I don't think he wants to stick it to his teammates, but I think he would appreciate the opportunity to stick it to the Green Bay Packers organization, probably some of the coaching staff, if we're to be honest about it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, as I said, right, it ended in divorce, which I don't think, especially as it dragged on and on and on and on and on with Jaire. You know, back in January, we thought, okay, free agency opens mid-March. We'll probably get a solution right around then. And then it got to the draft, and Goody said, we'll reevaluate after the draft. And then we got weeks and a month removed from the draft. And it wasn't until last Monday, 12 days ago, or rather 9 days ago, on June 9th, we finally got an answer on Jaire. And that was the Packers are going to release him. And I don't necessarily disagree with the decision. The one part of this entire saga, Joshy, that I'm still really curious to see if we ever get an answer on is what did that restructured offer look like from the Packers? Because, to your point, for a guy that was set to make, $16, $17 million in 2025 from Green Bay, if they were to offer him $6 million and only $4 million guaranteed like the Ravens did, it'd be bad business for him to say yes to that. And now, obviously, as he goes elsewhere, and it's been reported already that he turned down more money on the open market to wind up in Baltimore, I think it shows you the importance to him to play for a contender. And I imagine the Lamar Jackson factor plays into it too, obviously being college teammates.
I also think there's a degree here of, with the Jaire situation where it was Matt LaFleur's reaction, how he feels about the Packers training staff, obviously, because his dad seemed to hint at that he was misdiagnosed. It would seem pretty clear to me that Jaire made the decision to move on from the Packers as much as the Packers made the decision to move on from him.
Yep.
Like he made, and if we're supposed to take, some of the reporting we've heard as truth, is he basically made the decision, I am not going to agree to a restructure because that means I can be traded anywhere, and I'm not going to agree to really any sort of taking less money because that also means that I'm stuck here and playing for less, where I could choose my landing spot while, getting to play in a place that I view as the best expose of my skill set and the things I can do on the field.
Yep.
It all comes down to, like, everyone's looking, and I've seen multiple people, this secondary is scary. Yeah, is it? Is Jaire going to be there? How many games are the Baltimore Ravens going to have with all that secondary healthy? We have no idea at this point. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing with Jaire, and the reason Jaire is a Baltimore Raven and not a Green Bay Packer. If he plays 7, 8, 9 games, he's probably going to have to try and sign a similar contract next year.
Bingo.
If he plays 15, then Jaire is probably going to he's not going to set the market, but he's going to get a significant deal because he still has plenty left to give in terms of just simple age and hits he's taken over his career.
Yeah, I think you're totally right on that. I do have an interesting development as I was wondering if we will ever get the answer on what the restructure looked like. Landis Alexander, Jaire's father, already tweeting up a storm, which we love to see. He replied to Adam Schefter's tweet. It's a deal breakdown. It's a 1-year, $4 million deal with Jaire having the ability to earn $2 million more in incentives. It's a maximum value of $6 million. Landis Alexander replied to that. No guarantees, all incentive based from his former team, which was very insulting. That's what Jaire's father just tweeted.
Yeah.
A minute ago, 12:38 p.m.
Yeah, I believe he sort of implied the same thing, maybe didn't give it direct. His claim of no guarantees is factually incorrect, though, because he's a vested veteran.
Correct.
He has to be paid at least a certain amount of money.
Well,
I don't know how much has to be. Is like when it comes to the veteran guarantee, I think some of that has to be guaranteed via the CBA.
I think the veteran guarantee, I want to say it's like $1.5 million for how long he's been in the league. Like that's the minimum for somebody that's been in as long as he has.
It's as good as zero guarantee, $1.5 million, but it's not that far off from 4.
No, it's not. That's a good point. It's less than half, but
right.
Also, here's the thing I struggle with is we talk about millions of dollars like it's nothing.
Yes.
When it comes to professional sports, dude, I'd sign a $1.5 million contract for the remainder of my life yesterday.
There's an old Scalzo and Brust clip of me describing the things I would do for millions of dollars.
Yeah. And you remember anything on that list?
Well, the one thing I believe it was related to a intimate video of two people getting shared and their parents seeing it and all that.
Sure.
And the thing was, well, yeah, they were offered like $100 million. And I said, I'd screen it personally in front of my parents. I'd sit right next to them for $100 million.
Yeah, I would rent out a theater and do a full-blown debut.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We'd roll out the red carpet. I'd be taking pictures. And then we're going to watch my porno on a big screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tried to use more delicate words, but you ended exactly there. That's what it was. And yeah, that is what I would. I mean, I'd probably do it for $10 million.
Okay. So in this hypothetical,
I do it for one.
In this hypothetical, though, how much do you have to pay your parents to watch it? Because, like, I'm sorry, Strouf, you'd have to give me probably double-digit millions to watch your video. So, like that's
good news is I'm not on the table.
Yeah,
that's not
you
going.
Don't have to
yes, but you don't have to be there.
But I'm saying within that hypothetical, like if you have to show it to your friends and family, I feel like I'm close enough to you where I'm filling up that theater. So that's what I'm asking you is how much do you have to divvy out for people to actually show up?
I mean, it could be an empty theater with me and my ranks, man.
I think
as long as I'm getting paid.
I think I've established myself as generous enough that if the people around me knew how much money this was garnering me, they'd happily attend as well.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, you're retired now.
Yep, bingo. Yep.
Never going to work again. Do what you want for the rest of your life.
Whatever debt you got, wiped out.
By the way, here's your new house.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Correct. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they'd be there just as happily as I was.
Yeah. Be uncomfortable for a couple minutes, but like, what are we talking? 3 minutes? 4 minutes?
All you got to do is sort of put a tenure plan in front of them.
It's not like this is a feature film,
right?
It's not. This is a pretty quick Band-Aid to rip off.
And then I'm gonna fly to the south of France right after.
Right, Malfi,
private,
Ibiza.
Not exactly sure how we got there. Chef Ed on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube stream says, "Good for Jaire, but the Ravens won't sniff the Super Bowl. Lamar is a playoff choker." Yeah, well. We'll see. So far, I tend to agree. He hasn't shown up in the biggest games of his career.
He does have a knack for his worst games being in the playoffs. I think the multiple MVPs and the long history of remarkable play for him maybe is a bit unfair. I do think Lamar Jackson will break through at some point in his career.
They said the same thing about Peyton Manning until they didn't, so...
Right, yeah, right. Like the talent at this point for Lamar is so obvious.
Yes.
That yes, you can point to him having some particularly bad games. I don't think he's going to have those games for the rest of his career.
I frankly believe he will win a Super Bowl.
Yes, yeah.
In fact, this is not where I thought we were going today, but I would probably put Lamar number 1 on the next quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Ahead of Josh Allen
is obviously the other tough one.
Yeah, I mean, they're 1A, 1B.
The 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's become a yearly tradition at this point. Whoever wins that divisional round matchup,
right.
is obviously
gets the honor of trying to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Correct. Exactly.
Which is a daunting task.
It is. Although I would argue less daunting this year and last year than it has been in past years.
I've learned my lesson.
Never pick against Patrick Mahomes.
Never. He's in the Super Bowl until somebody tells me I have to stop saying that.
Yeah, that's honestly fair.
Right.
Fair. So all in all, it seems like we all kind of feel the same way here. We're good with it.
Yeah.
Happy for Jaire.
I mean, I don't really have negative or positive feelings about it. I wish him the best.
Yeah.
I think I greatly appreciate his time in Green Bay. I also think there's things I can point to that made him less than a savory member of the Green Bay Packers. But bygones are bygones. Go do you. I'm going to be suspicious of you until you play mostly a full season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And
I by no means wish him injury or wish him not to make a lot of money the rest of his career. And in Baltimore, hey, go ball out. Doesn't really matter to me except for that one time we play you, and then maybe in 4 years again if for whatever reason the Ravens decide to resign you.
So here's the thing that I'm struggling with, because I like this question, but I don't think Jaire's considered the number one corner in Baltimore. I think it's probably Marlon Humphrey or even Nate Wiggins is going to develop into that at some point. But let's just use the Jaire as the example because it makes the question more fun. If Jaire is their number one corner, who's he guarding week 17?
I think... Now, I don't know exactly how they play their defenses, but
Humphrey likes to play in the slot and in the nickel, but he can kind of play all over the place.
I would say because of how strong that defense is, they just line up their guys and say, good luck.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Thanks for raining on my question, Joshy. Appreciate that.
I think it's fair because teams that have obvious weaknesses, you remember Preston Smith covering Justin Jefferson.
I do.
And that was something they knew how to exploit. When you look across the Baltimore Ravens defense, what exactly are you going, yeah, this is who we're going to pick on or where we're going to pick on? There's not really many of those spots.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, not let alone this year. Ever.
Throughout my history of being a sports fan, I don't really remember the Ravens
having a bad defense.
I'm sure they've had some dips and some, like...
Sure, and there's always those off years, right? Injuries or whatever.
Right, and I think they had a previous history of cornerback issues, but they were still one of the better defenses.
But even think about when Ray Lewis, retired on top, and he was not prime Ray Lewis. That defense was still unbelievable.
Yeah.
Obviously. Did you just turn off my mic?
On accident, yeah.
What are you doing back there?
My finger slipped.
How does your finger just slip and hit an off button you're not supposed to hit?
Because I was dragging it back.
Yeah. You know what?
These buttons are kind of push in, though. Still that's a weird story, Will.
They're a little touchy. I wanted to bring up totally unrelated and not really making all that sense why it made me think that. It's just being in the producer's room.
Yeah.
How mad are you at me for instituting the push-ups thing to Wheel of Strouf? Because every time I go on social media, I see you doing push-ups.
Poorly, by the way. I'm not mad at you.
You getting swole?
I think so. I'm bulking up a little bit. Drank a protein shake for the first time yesterday.
As part of your push-ups, or you just decided to do...
No, I've been doing some push-ups at home too.
Oh wow!
Well, dude, look. The sad part about me is I've always been the skinny kid.
We can tell,
and we're at a point in my life now where I'm no longer referred to as a kid.
Yeah,
right. Like
You're
I'm
the
not
scrawny guy.
Well, I've thanked Will for this off the air. I should probably do it on the air. I'm no longer viewed as the young guy around here. That's now Will's title.
Yes.
As Will is 22.
Are you having a quarter life crisis?
No, crisis is definitely not the word. It's just my identity at work is changing a little bit. I'm being respected as the professional I am, rather than being like this up and coming. He's just the kid, man. He's like this up and coming.
You're not even the most famous person on your own show. What are you talking about being respected as a professional?
I think the P word was a little...
Hunter gets recognized one time, and he has the ego trip of a century.
I think he deserves it.
I don't. But that's neither here nor there. All right, Michael on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube stream says, careful, we play in week 17 now. Hopefully the game won't matter for either of us at that point. And then Mike, different Mike, chimes in, I'd be surprised if he even plays in week 17.
Yeah.
And that is the Jaire experience right there in the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube comment section. Right? I mean, that's exactly it. I hope he plays week 17 because it's fun. And sports are fun. And also, if the Packers can beat the Ravens, I'd like them to beat the Ravens at full strength. Because that gives you an even better pulse of where the Packers would be at the end of December, right? So I want him to play for a variety of reasons, but we'll see what happens. But Mike makes a decent point. I'd be surprised if he even plays in Week 17. Yeah, that's been the theme the last few years with Jaire. But I hope the best for him because, again, I mean, I don't know if this is how everybody operates. Joshy, when you watch football, obviously eye on the ball, right? So quarterback and then wherever the ball goes. But I find myself oftentimes watching cornerbacks just to see like what they do. It always fascinates me.
Well, the fundamental flaw with that is unless you're getting a replay, you typically don't see the corners in action unless it's like a streak of some sort across the field. So I end up watching the offensive and defensive line because if you know what you're watching, you can tell a lot by what the offense and
who's dominating inside.
Right. And to me, that like watching the ball, yes, but you can sort of see it. If you're watching the offensive line, I mean, smarter people than me can like based on alignments kind of predict where the ball's going ahead of time. That's why Tony Romo was so revered at one point for predicting plays. Like to me, I'm watching those guys up front and then obviously the ball, but following the ball is not probably the best way to experience football in terms of knowing what everyone's jobs, assignments are and what's actually happening on the field.
Fair enough.
But corner is one of those fascinating positions when you do see it, and like you can see how simply one false step can mean a guy's beat by 3 steps on a route. Like it is that exact of a science for those guys with the speed of the wide receivers, running backs, or tight ends. Like you need to be precise or have incredible speed to sort of regain position. It's one or the other. And if you lose steps or you're behind, you're good as cooked.
Yeah. Another tie. Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens.
Yes.
And, of course, the brother, friend of show, Chris Orr.
Is Chris working there?
He's in Kansas City. He's a quality control coach in Kansas City. It was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to Chris Orr. After Joshy and Hunter, I think Chris has appeared on the show more than anybody else.
Shout out to him.
Been a while, though. I texted him yesterday. He didn't respond, so I'm questioning where our friendship is. Now, in his defense, popular guy. I didn't respond to every birthday text I got in December, and I'm not popular.
You just got to thumbs him up.
See, but the thing was, my birthday was on a Saturday. It was Wisconsin Marquette Day. I was drinking all day. I just lost a few. You know?
You want to take also a tour through my mind? I send less and less happy birthday texts than I ever used to, which then means I get less, so then I don't have the burden of responding to the text message of happy birthday.
Yeah.
And that's been a deliberate action of mine.
Yeah, I intentionally don't send them. Yeah. I don't need that. What are we doing?
No. I do appreciate receiving them, and it's like, oh, that's nice. And sometimes, you see somebody's birthday and you go, hey, I haven't talked to them in a while. I'll give them a shout.
Yep.
But yeah, there's some like I saved them in my calendar, and there's some that pop up and be like, well, I haven't talked to that person in a while. I don't really need to.
Yeah, that's fair. How many birthday wishes do you think you give a year?
I give a year?
Yeah. I bet I'm in the hundreds.
No,
I've given 2 today.
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Okay.
Are you counting ones in passing? Like if there's a coworker's birthday and you just said happy birthday?
One of the 2 that I did today. Yeah.
I honestly purposely don't sometimes.
Mike chimes in. I'm at the age where I don't even celebrate anymore. Oh, Mike. Come on, man.
I'll celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, it's depressing. Mike, when's your birthday?
Yeah,
Mike, tell us your birthday. We're going to mark it in the calendar. We're going to make a big Mr. Relevant special.
There is a
around
fine line.
Mike 7896's birthday.
There is a fine line between being a birthday guy too late into life, like Jesse Nelson famously on Wilde and Tausch being upset that his parents were going to Vegas for his like 28th birthday or something, or maybe it was
30,
even his 30th.
I think it was 31st.
Yeah, just like who cares?
Pablo Iglesias having the 10-day birthday bash.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know where that came from for Pablo, I'll be honest. We literally just went to a golf simulator like the one day, and then I think he did something with 2 other people, and that was it.
But you weren't a part of every birthday celebration. If you follow Pablo Iglesias, at Pablo Iglesias Sports on Instagram, he posted about his birthday for like 12 days straight.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of...
We all follow him. We all saw it. You don't got to defend him.
Okay. I only knew of 2 events. So that's what I thought they all were.
I love Pablo.
I don't go on Instagram.
I love Pablo. Do whatever makes you happy, right? If celebrating your birthday makes you happy, I'm just saying.
Let's be clear though. 2 events is more than one, the normal amount of birthday events to have.
That's a good point. Good point by Joshy. Good point. Good pop. Good pop. Okay, so that's our Jaire Alexander reaction. He signs a 1-year deal worth up to $6 million, a base salary of $4 million, with the Baltimore Ravens reunited with Lamar Jackson. They're going to be a good team this year.
I don't think Jaire being there improved their.
Not a ton. I would agree with you. They were already going to be a good team this year.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's what makes it such an
intriguing.
I think it's probably
as long as Lamar Jackson is healthy, they are one of the preeminent Super Bowl contenders.
Agreed.
And you can move pieces around elsewhere, but it doesn't matter all that much. Yeah. He's that level. He elevates a team that much.
Yes, agreed.
He's one of 3 guys that I confidently can say that about.
Chef Ed, I'm at the age where if I wake up and see the ceiling, I celebrate. Hell yeah, Chef Ed. I love that. Love that. All right, we got a ton of other stuff to get to, so let's fly through some of it. Let's get to Ed Policy. He met with the media, the incoming president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers, as Mark Murphy steps down due to turning the age of 70, which is, of course, the rule the Packers have in place, which means we will get Ed Policy for a maximum of 13 years. He's 57 years old. As he begins his tenure next month. But he met with the media for the first time, and you know, there's several articles written about him, several different individual interviews he did, so a lot of stuff was said by Ed Policy over the course of the last week. And it's interesting just to read about him and his mindset and his priorities and all that. 2 things I found really interesting in the article written by Rob Demovsky about Ed Policy over at ESPN.com this week. The first of which is about contracts in regard to the head coach, Matt LaFleur, the general manager, Brian Gutekunst, and Goody's right-hand man, the guy who oversees all the financial stuff, Russ Ball. They all have 2 years remaining on their contract. And Ed Policy kind of told Rob Demovsky that he doesn't really believe in lame duck years, but he's going to do nothing this offseason to extend or, shorten or whatever, any of these contracts because there's 2 years left on them. So the way it sounds to me is that Ed Policy is pretty much just giving himself a fresh slate to evaluate the value of Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur in 2025, right? He's going to give them the entire season, or maybe if they start the season 7-2, maybe they both get extensions. But as it stands going into week 1 in September, those guys will have 2 years left on their contract. And then they might go through the entire season, and next offseason they evaluate on whether or not there would be a contract extension, or they pull the plug, it sounds like, right? So this sounds like a bigger year than maybe some anticipated for Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur through the scope of their new boss, the new president, CEO, Ed Policy. Fascinating. It's interesting. I'm not worried about it, right? I mean, if we were to do the conversation of who has more pressure right now, I think just because the way the NFL works, it's technically Matt LaFleur, even though I would advocate for Goody, but it's just a fact in the NFL. Typically, head coaches' leashes just a tad shorter than general managers. It's just how it works out. But I think they're both fine, and they will both be a member of the Packers for the foreseeable future. But after last offseason, making the commitment the Packers did, signing their quarterback to a long-term extension, I think Policy's just walking in and saying, okay, let's see what we got this year.
I read this, and I don't think I've seen anybody really give credence to this. I view this as mostly fan service and tough talk. I think it is.
I can see why you'd say that.
It is something that he and the Packers believe fans want to hear. And it is preaching the, sort of urgency competing for championships thing, because if the Packers don't make the playoffs this season, I don't think either of those guys are fired. And I think they would be a really hard case for that.
I would say,
or not getting an extension.
It'd be an outlandish scenario, but it would be everybody's healthy for the most part,
yes,
and they go 4-13.
Right.
That would be the one scenario where, okay, maybe you fire Matt LaFleur.
Which I would place all the shekels I have to my name on them not doing that. So to me, it is simply him sort of saying, we have expectations here. Titletown is a thing we live by, and it also gives him plenty of time to also offer the extension as soon as the seasons end, or at some point throughout the course of the offseason, because I do think that everyone believes they are going in the right direction and the foundation they have. It's as simple as looking at it this way. If Matt LaFleur became open to the market, he is, without a doubt, the number one guy that everybody who's looking for a head coach would interview. He becomes the Ben Johnson of whatever version. You point to his win-loss record, his history of making it deep into the playoffs, like all those factors. He immediately becomes the guy every single guy wants to hire. I also think Goody, I don't know less about executives, but I would think a lot of teams would, had they had that opening, would gladly welcome Goody in there. Mm-hmm. And I think as much as Titletown is the moniker the Packers love to throw in your face, I also think stability is one of their core tenets as well. They are classically slow to move and resist rash decision making. There's been plenty of times throughout their history where they keep doing something and you keep saying, well, why we keep doing this? It hasn't worked, but they believe in it and they stick with it. And it's sort of like a team-wide ethos of stay the course.
Ooh, that was beautiful.
Stay the course and believe in what we have here.
Will just gave me quite a look on ethos, which would be embarrassing if he doesn't know what that means. I think it's as simple as this, and we'll get it off of Ed Policy, or one more thing on Ed Policy quick, but just on this particular note on Goody and LaFleur and their contracts, I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying I would guess after next season they are both extended.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, great. Other thing I thought was awesome from Policy, and this is exactly why he needs to have policies, or Murphy Takes 5, his monthly column on Packers.com. This right here is exactly why. He was asked by Rob Domofsky, what are your 3 priorities or 4 priorities as the Packers president and CEO? He listed them in this particular order. Number 1, win football games. Number 1, keep the Packers in Green Bay. Number 2, and to strengthen our community. Number 3. And
I do want to. So this got put at the end of the article, but I believe Jason Wilde today on Wilde and Tausch said that this was sort of like his opening statement.
Win football games, keep the Packers in Green Bay, strengthen our community.
And we brought this up to Adam Schefter on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, and he had what I believe to be the correct answer. Do we remember Mark Murphy panhandling basically and saying we don't want to pay the rent, if we want to do these upgrades, we need this to happen. There is the dispute with the city of Green Bay and the mayor. The mayor's on the right side of this one.
Yes.
And that is the subtle, and it's a classic play that you hear from every team owner. It goes back as long as I can remember. And I mean, I've even seen stuff like this, like when the Astros documentary came out about how they were doing the same thing. The Miami Marlins did this seemingly every few years when it came to things they wanted to get done. It's a move to basically try and shift opinion and put the veiled threat or the underground threat of, unless things go our way, we won't be here. Now, I don't think the Packers actually would or will take the steps to leave Green Bay. I think that I think that is quite far-fetched. I think at this point,
never happen.
The monolith they've built in Green Bay to the Green Bay Packers with the title town and all the sort of history that it has, like losing the branding of Green Bay would be devastating to the Packers brand.
It would be devastating to a couple of different things.
Yeah.
Including, of course, most importantly, the Packers.
Right. And that's also, it would be devastating to the Packers and the entire surrounding community of Green Bay, and that's the threat they have.
Don't even spend time on it. It's not going to happen.
No, but I, as somebody who for a long time has tried to speak openly about the Packers and their behavior and the community-owned stuff, I think this is below an organization of their degree.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But it is what it is. It's how these businesses work.
More money, baby.
Yeah, you can fight back against it. The meager defenses I've launched against it, but I ultimately know that teams oftentimes don't move as much as they threaten to move. And they usually get their way.
And if they do move, they're usually very bad franchises.
Yes.
Which the Packers
that is
have not been
that is
40
also
years,
largely one of the
Simple as that.
main factors. And sometimes teams get bad on purpose so they can move.
That's true. All right, shout at that policy. Good job out there in your debut. Let's get to the NBA and Giannis. Giannis watch continues as, over at ESPN.com this morning. There's an article, 8 trades that make sense for the Milwaukee Bucks. Blah, blah. Whatever, dude. Doc Rivers joined Bill Simmons yesterday, and I just wish people would listen to the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks when he says what we are about to play for you, because I feel like it should carry a little more weight than people are acting like it does. Here's Doc Rivers with Bill Simmons yesterday on the Bill Simmons Podcast.
You have a superstar on your team that you guys have been just trying to trade for the last month, apparently, by reports.
Yeah.
You're just offering. Giannis is on eBay now. It's just to convince anyone to make an offer.
It's so ridiculous, and I've heard all these. You hear all this stuff, and but you don't like it, when you hear it, because it's not true, Bill. But it's still like your players hear it and everybody else hears it. That's the only thing I don't like about all this now. It's I don't know how many more times Giannis has to say he wants to be a Buck and he wants to win a title with a Buck, and it's so cool.
It is cool. Especially if he stays in Milwaukee. That's Doc Rivers, the head coach of the Bucks, on the Bill Simmons podcast yesterday, recorded 2 nights ago. Josh, you made a comment while we were playing the audio that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bill Simmons, if we remember, he traded Giannis for Evan Mobley straight up. Famously, him and Ryan Russillo said, "Yeah, I'll offer Mobley. Yep, that's it. I think we're done."
And then he has Doc Rivers on. He's making jokes about how Giannis is on eBay.
I can't believe all these people are. I mean, that's Bill Simmons' whole thing, is trading superstars everywhere. He's been doing that since
the Grantland days.
Yeah.
It's been forever. Now, don't get me wrong. I've always been a fan of Bill Simmons. I think he's wildly entertaining, as goofy as he can be. But, the main point of this is Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers effectively saying 2 different times there. Now, I took out the middle cut of that just because I wanted you to hear both sides of it. The first half being essentially Giannis isn't going anywhere. The second half being, I don't know how many times Giannis has to say he wants to be a Buck, right? He literally said, you hear it and you know it's not true. I feel like the Bucks head coach isn't just going out of whim by saying that. He believes it. He believes Giannis will be back. And you see reports from Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus yesterday saying, AJ Green and Ryan Rollins are going to Greece with Giannis. And that doesn't necessarily indicate he's back as a Buck, but it indicates he's getting off-season work in with guys that you anticipate to be Bucks in 25-26. I've said all along I don't think Giannis is going anywhere. Now, again, Josh has pushed back because this is more real than it's ever been. I can at least acknowledge that. But to hear the head coach say that yesterday, I feel like that's a pretty freaking big deal, and we're not making a big deal out of it.
I've steadfastly believed that Giannis is going to stay a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. I also think Doc Rivers is speaking with a level of confidence that I think he's trying to project a level of confidence that I don't think maintains throughout the building.
So effectively, you think that Doc Rivers is pulling an Alex Strouf?
You speak it into existence. Yeah, a little bit, and I'm confident about it. Why should anyone else not be? I do think Doc Rivers is privy to information we are certainly not to.
Of course.
I also think Doc Rivers is sort of new in town. He doesn't have the long storied history with Giannis. I would doubt him and Giannis are having many one-on-one conversations aside from strictly work-related, being in town, being at practice, games, etc. So I think what he's saying is the truth. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's telling the truth based on him having more information than us.
Sure.
Like, I think he's sort of just speaking he's just saying what he believes to be true and also what he wants to be true.
Sure.
I think he gave a level of confidence that would tell you, hey, Giannis has told us he's coming back, which I don't think has happened. And I don't think I think he's writing.
I agree on that.
You believe that? Well, I mean, I guess you also believe the wild thought that Giannis is not going to say anything about this offseason and is just going to show up to training camp as a Milwaukee Buck, and everyone's going to be like, "Yeah, what happened over the offseason?"
He didn't do anything. That's the beautiful part of Giannis doing what he's doing. And on Friday, by the way, we already have this planned. Hunter's done a great job of pretty much documenting Giannis' entire week on the internet. We're just going to recap it on Friday. He's been trolling people. He's been making videos. He's been making sexy time jokes about his wife. Like, he's been on an all-time social media tear this week. because he knows his name is in everybody's mouth.
No.
And I think he is taking the comedic approach with it.
I think Giannis does this when he knows the conversation is about him and he likes the attention.
Which is fine.
Sure.
Right?
But I don't want it.
Breaking news, NBA players like attention. Right?
Yeah. But also, we're less than a week removed from him being an infallible character who isn't a diva and has no, like...
Oh, there's a difference between liking attention and being a diva. Now, is there a little bit of crossover? Maybe.
A lot of
Do
it.
you need one to be the other? Maybe.
I think the most important part of being a diva is attention. Liking attention. That might be like when you're putting together the recipe, that's ingredient 1.
Sure. Yeah. I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah. So
Will I admit I'm wrong? No.
No, of course not. Why would you?
I would never do that. Actually, that's not true. I admit I'm wrong sometimes. Just not in this scenario, because Giannis will be a bucket. 2020.
Also not until you have to.
It's true. I also don't apologize unless I have to. All right, let's get to Will's Week in Review. Will Sommers always takes a look at the week that was on a Wednesday for some reason, Wednesday to Wednesday. And he writes us Chris Berman-esque fastest 2 minutes.
What?
Is there a theme this week?
Yeah, Father's Day theme. Did you guys have a good Father's Day?
I did.
Yeah, I was here.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? Did you see your pops?
I did not. I gave him a call, though. I was up north, so I could not be with him.
Nice. We love your dad around here. Dan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Big fan of the show.
Yeah, he tweeted, we didn't talk about this on the show, I don't think. He tweeted us Will's college degree when it arrived in the mail.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, Josh and Strouf, look at this. It actually happened. He wasn't BSing you guys. He actually got a college degree, which is just like the best dad move ever. So someday Dan Summers and I are going to crush a few brews together. Will is not invited.
He would love that. He always asks me, he's like, whenever he comes up here, he's like, what are Alex and Josh doing? They want to come
Why the hell don't you let us know?
Why have you never extended an invite?
I don't know. Not yet.
Look, Josh is in a phase in his life where he is committing to more inside life than he had in his past lives. However, I feel comfortable speaking on his behalf here. If you texted us on a Saturday, let's say early afternoon, and said, hey, my dad's in town and wants to get a beer with you guys, I guarantee Josh is there.
Yeah, without me having pre-established plans or things that, like, I have been a thing I've committed to for a while.
Yeah, as long as he's not putting out fires on strangers' porches or installing a fence.
Or going to a concert at Summerfest that I don't particularly want to attend, but am attending because other people want to attend it.
What are you attending?
Benson Boone.
The Head and the Heart, which I'm fine with.
Oh, the Head and the Heart, nice.
Yeah, I'm fine with. I wouldn't go see them on my own.
I wouldn't either.
But I'm not going to have a bad time there.
No, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to check them out.
Have a couple beers. I know their music from the first
Isn't that crazy? Summerfest starts tomorrow?
Yes.
It feels like that came up quick.
We're on a show on Saturday.
Yeah, we are. 3 hours, by the way, for those of you. What do you call them, Will? The Irrelevant Army?
The MIA, the Mr. Relevant Army.
Yes, the Mr. Relevant Army. If you want more me and Josh, we're with you 3 hours Saturday on 94.5 ESPN.
I was, somebody brought it up last weekend. We were cooking some s'mores over a little campfire. So nice.
Good for you, yeah.
And someone said, oh, yeah, Summerfest. And I said, that probably means I'm on a Saturday show coming up here soon.
Yeah, you and I, maybe I shouldn't add our business like that, but I'm going to do it. You and I are going to go visit the Zinn truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to what we were saying about Will and his father sending us I want to give Will some props here. At no point did I ever question him actually getting a degree done.
I didn't either.
Because the level of work he's shown and work ethic, I think justifies it.
Wow.
Despite my lack of vocabulary.
Yeah. You're not an English major.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah, you're a communication major, and as one that, as a fellow Bachelor of Science in Communication grad from a different university, probably one of the easier degrees to obtain.
Yeah, and I have a master's degree in being the man, if you guys remember that one.
Well, let's put that master's degree to work. It's time now for Will's Week in Review.
Hunter, hit it. Okay, there you go. All right. Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers last night to win their second consecutive Stanley Cup. The Oilers closely resembled sliced bread after going down 3-0 in the first period because they were toast. The Panthers won 5-1 and are so good at navigating their way through the Stanley Cup playoffs that even a self-driving car once asked them for directions. Unfortunately for Connor McDavid and the Oilers, they fell down the well of losing the Stanley Cup final yet again. But maybe they just couldn't see that well. There were plenty of golfers carrying an umbrella at Oakmont Golf Course because there was rain in the forecast during the U.S. Open. J.J. Spawn came into Sunday chasing Sam Burns and struggled to hit the metal clubs in his bag, which caused some people to speculate if he may be iron deficient. But Spawn would do some meditation to calm down and find that dog in him, making him an aware wolf. Firing it up on the back nine on Sunday and draining a 64-foot putt for the win. I think it's safe to say after this win that his wallet will no longer be like an onion, crying every time he opened it. The Oklahoma City Thunder took care of the Pacers in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Dad joke edition. Jalen Williams had 40 points thanks in part to running Santa's favorite basketball play, the giving go, go, go. Tyrese Halliburton had a tough game as he was 0 for 6 from the field, finished with just 4 points and also sustained a calf injury. Rick Carlisle might as well have played a mummy instead of Halliburton because at least the game would have been wrapped up. We had breaking news on Sunday afternoon as Rafael Devers was traded to the San Francisco Giants. The rumor was similar to butter the way everyone was spreading it. The Giants received left-handed starter Kyle Harrison, right-hander Jordan Hicks, and outfield prospect James
He's
Tibbs
already
III,
laughing.
and rookie league right-hander Jose Bayo for the three-time All-Star. Whatever computer told the Red Sox that this was a good trade was sent to the doctor and later diagnosed with a virus. With your Mr. Relevant week recap, I'm Will Sommers. Dad joke edition. Whoop.
He knows that whoop will make me giggle every time.
I told Alex yesterday it was going to be so bad that it might be good.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether or not it was.
I enjoyed it.
It was dad jokes. I mean, that was the point.
Yeah, they're supposed to be bad.
Yeah, and
Corny.
they were. And
Yeah.
they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit the bar there. Yeah. Okay.
That was a lot of them.
Here's
I
the
will
thing.
say.
Here's the
Even my
thing.
brain kind of hurts after reading all those.
Well, I'm going to be thinking about this late at night tonight. That's how awful it was. Nuggeteers on YouTube. A little raunchy, really cheesy, but creative. 50 out of 50.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. I'm not even sure how to move on from that, but we do this every Wednesday as well. Hunter's got a list of topics. Joshy and I will reply in one word, sometimes more, sometimes less. It's time now for One Word Wednesday on Mr. Irrelevant.
Aaron Schatz and Seth Waldron did an all-quarter century team. Julius Peppers was the only Packer to actually make the roster. Aaron Rodgers and Charles Woodson were both listed as practice squad players.
Did you say Shane Waldron?
Seth Waldron. I thought I said Seth. Did I say Shane?
Oh, Seth Walder.
Oh.
I was like, the former Bears offensive
Reading was
coordinator
hard.
is
Who?
got a job at ESPN. Seth Walder is who you're referring to. Off-season is my word. It's just off-season content. I don't know. It's a pretty bad list. LaDainian Tomlinson's not on there, and he was the best back of the last 25 years.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. Pass.
You don't get to pass.
I passed.
Okay. Well, good news for the three of you, even because you're all bad friends and wouldn't go see Superman with me. My wife agreed to go with me the night that it comes out.
Congrats.
Happy.
Cool.
ESPN.com ranked all 30 MLB lineups. They have the Milwaukee Brewers at number 21.
Correct. They don't hit home runs. Not a ton of power in the Brewers' bats right now. The good news is for them, they're really good at hitting singles. And they're good at stealing bases. They rank third in the major leagues in stolen bases. But, yeah, it's right. It's not like they have a ton of power in that lineup.
My word, Sal. Could have used a hit yesterday.
Sure could have. 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts yesterday against the Cubs in the 5-3 loss. For my guy, Sal Frelick.
Somebody did extra innings yesterday.
What's that?
Said somebody did extra innings yesterday.
Yeah, I know. We're on WTMJ. I hosted the postgame show. You can tell I'm up to snuff on my statistics. Yeah, I mean, top of the order was rough yesterday.
I think there was 5 hits between 2, 3, and 4.
No. Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Hard to ask for a whole lot more.
Isaac Collins and Bryce Terang in the back end of the lineup, 6 and 7, were much better, though. They were the MVPs.
Why does Bryce Trang not hit lead
But
off?
you're right. Contreras had 2 hits. He was solid. I think he's been having a little struggles offensively, so they moved him back just to get him out of his funk because he was hitting lead off.
Yeah.
But now they're trying Sal there, and Sal's been really good there just outside of yesterday.
Baseball lineups are interesting to me because I don't think they enact the amount of change that both baseball people and the actual athletes and like the results. I don't think they.
I have a dumb irrational take on this.
Uh-oh.
I don't believe in the way we order baseball lineups, and it's been explained to me many times. Will played college baseball, so he obviously has a much better brain than me. If I was a baseball manager, here's how I would do it.
Here we go.
I would put our best batter one. The best batter, highest batting average, hardest hitter, I would bat him first.
That's a strategy that a lot of teams do. You get the most at bats.
Jose Ramirez has led off.
And then here's the thing. I would put my second best bat at 7.
No, well, now you're wrong.
That's dumb.
We're 6.
We lost him.
People also forget, I mean, obviously there's a lot more.
I'm batting my worst batter, the guy you put 9th, I'm batting him 3rd.
There's a lot more research in the major
so
leagues, but when you
stupid.
move a guy down, there's a greater percentage chance that you're not going to see as good as a pitching repertoire. Like you might get a lot more fastballs in the zone than a top 3 hitter, top 4 hitter.
Interesting. So there's my take on that. I don't know if I gave a word or not, but that's my word.
That's a bad take.
Thank you.
Yeah. Class of 2026, 4-star wide receiver Zion Bean Legree committed to Wisconsin after he had been committed to Ole Miss. The Badgers
Hold
are
on.
back.
One more time on that name.
Yeah.
Zion Bean Legree, Legree.
Okay.
2 words.
Bean is his nickname.
Bean.
It's Zion Legree.
So his name is Bean Legree?
Well, I mean, that's the nickname, yeah.
Oh, that's sick. Nickname is my word. I like that. Bean.
My word's going to be hopeless. I've gotten too excited about 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars. The next guy to only be let down. I can't do it anymore.
It's fair.
If you head over to the ESPN Madison Facebook page, the two of you did a video on whether or not Wisconsin sports are cursed. I think we should have done it on whether or not Corey Perry is cursed. So his history in the Stanley Cup Finals, he won it in 2007 with the Anaheim Ducks, but then lost in the finals in 2020 with the Dallas Stars, lost in the finals in 2021 with the Montreal Canadiens, lost in 2022 with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then in 2024 and 2025 he has lost in the finals with the Edmonton Oilers. Corey Perry is cursed.
The second is the word. He's second place Corey Perry. It's impressive to get that close that many times in a team sport. Like, what are the odds of that happening?
I think it happens more than we recognize because I feel like I hear one of these stories once a year, and it's usually a veteran journeyman who kind of just hops on wherever,
Latches on to good teams.
Yeah.
There's
another hockey player who has a similar stat, but I believe he had won them in the past. Was it a player that went from Tampa Bay then to Florida, Hunter? There's
maybe. Why is Steven Stamkos sticking out in my head as maybe being the guy that did that? I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I know. I think it happens pretty frequently in hockey, and also hockey, frankly, has a problem where the salary cap no longer exists in the playoffs, and some guys just go on the injured reserve list despite not having injuries, and then they pop back up for the playoffs magically, perfectly healthy and over the cap, and it allows these teams to basically load up. I believe the NHL is trying to close that loophole. But if you look at all the very good teams of the past 4 or 5 years, they're going to have a guy that basically played very little or not at all during the regular season, and then, look at this.
It's fair. Yeah.
Back on the team.
Back on the team. Okay, that's One Word Wednesday. It's time now for what we missed and what we learned. I've got one of each today, so buckle up. Wow. Which is presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. We were just there. Joshy mentioned it. Last night, I was up late hosting Brewers Extra Innings on 620 WTMJ, which was very fun, by the way. Enjoyed breaking it down despite the loss to the Cubs. over on WTMJ. And I got home about 11:15, and I was wired. I mistakenly opened an energy drink at about 9:30.
What do you mean mistakenly?
Well, I felt a little low energy, and you know me. When I do shows, I like to be high energy, just naturally, as one does.
That's a hard thing to believe when you just constantly have a steady stream of full sugar caffeine.
For whatever reason, I didn't yesterday. I drank a lot of water yesterday. I didn't have a midday soda like I usually do, or maybe I did. Regardless, it had been hours, and so I cracked open an energy drink. So I was a little wired. So I got home. I was ready to wind down, and the maple aged bourbon from Door County Distillery. Poured myself a little glass of that on the rocks, sat on the couch, and kind of wound down, and I went to bed. And it was a lovely nightcap to a long day. So Door County Distillery is the best, though. I mean, if you've got tailgates, you've got graduation parties, whatever you got coming up, stock it up with Door County Distillery. Gins, vodkas, rums, brandies, whiskeys, all the in-betweens, made locally. They're all award-winning. They're all delicious. DoorCountyDistillery.com to find the retailer nearest you. Did you cough because you have something to say?
No, I didn't realize my mic was on.
Okay.
My bad.
It's all good, man. All right, let's start with what we missed. I walk to work because I don't live far, and today it was raining. Today, I used an umbrella for, I think, the first time in my adult life. Usually, I just say, all right, I'll make it. It's a short walk. I'll just get there. Today, it was coming down a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I should probably use an umbrella. Does everybody look stupid while carrying an umbrella? Do you feel self-conscious when you carry an umbrella? I was like, wow, I bet I look stupid right now.
I have very infrequently used an umbrella. I've used some on golf courses. I did acquire one when I lived in New York City because you are walking so much from where your destination and the subway, because it is such a place where you're not in a car as much as you are here.
Yeah.
I feel self-conscious about it. I also think there's a big problem of, especially in crowded cities, people don't mind where it's eye poke city out there. If it's a rainy day in a busy city with a lot of walkers, you might catch the end of an umbrella to the eye.
Oh, really?
I also don't like having to remember it and then you get it and you got to shake it off. Otherwise it's going to be soaking wet.
Yeah. I had to do that this morning.
I'm a raincoat guy. Just give me the raincoat.
Yeah, but it's like 80 degrees out, so raincoat wasn't really an option today.
Thin one.
I have a thin one, but it still felt like that was too much because I'm already wearing a hoodie and all that good stuff. So I feel like carrying an umbrella has to be one of the top of the list of things that make you self-conscious that should make you self-conscious. I'll have to think about what else would be on that list. Maybe, I don't know, purchasing things at a pharmacy for your significant other that you don't typically purchase, like.
It's just awkward with that.
I don't anymore. I think initially I did.
I'll go
means you
right
grew
in there,
up.
right up.
Yeah, which is fair. And maybe I will with an umbrella, too.
I'll go right in there and buy some tampons and walk right out. Don't care.
Yeah, also, why did you skirt around it, Strouf? It's not like saying tampon is, not allowed.
Or going to the pharmacy and getting birth control. If they need to pick it up, I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair. Still uncomfortable, but I hear you.
I honestly, it's not even a thing. If it gets put on a list for me, I don't even process it.
Yeah, but you're just a man, right? You're putting up fences.
I think it's just a necessary.
The nice part about having you on the show is you're a grown ass man.
I would be more self-conscious about going up with an Imodium for tummy troubles. That would make me more self-conscious than walking up with a package of tampons.
That's fair.
Still,
because this guy's
faze me.
Aren't these people thinking I got a poopy butt now?
hey, sometimes it happens. You got to take care of it. You got to do something. Don't be ashamed of tummy troubles. Everybody poops. Sometimes it just might be closer to water than actual poop.
That's a good point by out there. Been there many times. Good Lord.
I also, off of that, I think I'm lactose intolerant, which I wasn't. I had some ice cream, did a number on me, tummy aches. Never used to have that issue.
I don't think you just become lactose intolerant, do you?
I just became gluten free. That wasn't something I used to be, and then realized I was getting tummy troubles.
But didn't you always have tummy troubles or no?
No. And then I was starting to have them and got really sick after eating some pizza and was like, what's happening?
I'm sorry. I love you guys, but we're done talking about tummy troubles.
Also,
I don't like talking about it.
Yes, it is possible to develop lactose intolerance as you get older.
Okay, interesting. There you go. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. If you are, you should probably see a doctor, or not me, because I'm the furthest thing from it. All right, let's get to what we
I
learned.
wasn't confused by that.
What we learned. Redemption is fun. Redemption is fun. And I have the opportunity for redemption coming up a week from today. We all know the 3-cone drill that was all over the internet. We all know the NFL Combine routine I ran a couple months ago. It was bad. And I was told I was the least athletic human in the United States of America. Joshy referenced the push-ups I've been doing recently earlier. Very unathletically. But next Wednesday night, I have the opportunity to change all of the narratives about my athleticism. I have the opportunity to show that I am an athlete at heart. Next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m., Capco Park in Mequon. The Lakeshore Chinooks take on my former employer, the Green Bay Rockers of the Northwoods League. Throwing out the first pitch next Wednesday night. Bark at the Park night at Capco Park. One Alex Strouf. I will be throwing out the first pitch a week from today at Capco Park in Mequon as the Lakeshore Chinooks take on the Green Bay Rockers. And let me tell you right now, this will be a beautiful strike that I will be throwing next Wednesday.
Will, you're the one who played baseball here.
At Capco Park, I played baseball.
You've actually got a game tonight. You did a tournament over the weekend. If you were to set odds, what are the odds he throws a plausible strike? I'm at plus 10,000.
Whoa!
It really isn't that hard, though.
It's not. But
whoa!
Will he do it from the mound?
Yes.
Then no way he throws a strike.
Well, that was my next thing. Are we going to get in the lab, have a couple games of catch beforehand?
So here's the thing. I don't know if that should be allowed.
Have you ever thrown off a mound?
Yes. Not many times, but yes. I have.
He's going to bounce
Not
it
well
in.
either. Oh, no. I
think he sails it.
Yeah, that would be the more likely.
It'd be better to sail it than to bounce it.
I'm putting some heat on this puppy.
I think you're plus
See, and that's why I think he's going to
250.
bounce it.
Is it disrespectful to spit on the mound?
Yes.
No, isn't that normal?
Not for the players, it's not, but for you, who's not a player.
Yeah, that'd be
Can I
weird.
shake off the catcher, or is that weird?
I mean, it's a look at me, Louie move.
Well, isn't that kind of what this is all about?
Well, that's, I mean, one of your main ethos. Look at me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think they're. Hold on 1 second.
Uh-oh. Goodbye, Joshy. Will, words. What did we miss in words?
All right, we got shekels, an informal term meaning money or wealth. Jaire Alexander added to his shekels by signing a $6 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
The wordsmith isn't here, so I might get a free pass today.
You are going to get a free pass today. Free ride today.
All right.
I mean,
I'm
that
pretty
sounded
confident the
right, so
next
you're
two.
good there.
Let's go. All right. Monolith.
No idea here.
A single massive stone or rock formation, or figuratively to a large, unified, or often rigid structure or organization. The New England Patriots became a monolith in the NFL during the 2000s. Whoop.
Whoop.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a weird way to use
right.
it in that way with the team. Like, he was referring more to the Titletown district, Lambeau Field itself being a monolith.
Correct.
Yeah, figuratively.
I'm just going to agree with Hunter here, yeah.
Okay, and then I got meager, which means lacking in quantity or quality. I have a meager understanding of a thesaurus.
So, is that the opposite of eager? That
No.
one I didn't know either.
No, it would not be the opposite
eager
of
seems
eager.
to be excitable and high-paced and upbeat, where meager sounds almost the opposite.
But meager is
Yeah.
like referring to the amount of knowledge that he has. Where eager is just like your high energy. Meager, it's like he doesn't have a lot of understanding.
I think it's a good time to end the show. I think we would all agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Basically, I went 3 for 3.
Yeah, basically, Will went 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very well done by him.
Any opposers? Nope.
No,
Don't see
I-
any.
Or maybe
don't
we
see any. No, I
counted
don't see
2
any.
for 2. One of them was a walk, and we're good. Still batting
I'll take
1,000.
a walk.
All right.
I'm base guy.
All right, thanks to Will, thanks to Joshy, thanks to Hunter. That does it for us today. Jam-packed show, plenty of things to react to. We've got more for you coming up on Friday, beginning at 12:30 Central. ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube. We will talk to you then. Make it a great rest of the Wednesday. Enjoy the first day of Summerfest. We'll talk to you then. This has been Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf. Peace.